Greetings my dears in love and light. I'm Nikki Sutton and this is 8 ways to know that you're speaking light language. Now first of all, I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters very much. Thank you so much for supporting this channel, and if you want to become a Patreon supporter too, then head to patreon.com/Nikki Sutton and receive bonus videos from me every week and more. Just check it out. Okay, so what is light language? Well, these 8 points will tell you all about what light language is, but just as a quick summary, it's a form of channeling where a language comes through which can be different for everyone, that holds certain meaning that the conscious mind doesn't always recognize, so it can sound like gibberish, but really the subconscious mind knows. Light language is nothing new. If you think about Native American Indians and how they would chant and dance, and also those who have been recorded in history as speaking in tongues, so speaking a language which no one understands and yet they seem to be bringing through something. This is all light language, or could be classed as it. It's very easy to think that if someone's speaking light language that they're just speaking gibberish or making a lot of funny noises. But in actual fact, there's much more to it, and that I'm going to explain to you shortly. It's a form of channeling, and that is the very basis of it. So number 1 on how to know you're speaking light language is that words are coming through you. So you may be in a relaxed state, you may have been meditating, and it's much more likely to happen that way because it's a form of channeling, and you can see my previous videos on channeling. So words start coming out and they might sound like gibberish, they might not make any sense, it might sound like a foreign language to you. In addition, sounds such as clucks and clicks are made, and this too, many believe, could be some kind of language of extraterrestrial origin. Pips and beeps, things like that. As well as that, tones and hums can be heard, and singing too. Singing is very popular because there's all kinds of emotional release that can come through song, and those who are listening to it, it tunes them in via the notes that are being sung into a certain vibrational frequency. So singing light language is particularly good for helping to raise others' vibrations and your own. And another thing that can happen is that different voices can come through. So when speaking light language, as well as various words coming through, it can sound like a different voice is speaking, which I find quite interesting. So you might wonder just now, where's all this coming from? It might be coming from spirit guides, it might be coming from your higher self, it might be coming from higher density beings from the 4th, 5th or 6th density that want to bring some meaning into this reality, and you're the channel for it. It might be coming from extraterrestrial friends, perhaps of the 3rd density, or they may be from higher densities, interdimensional beings, and spirit discarnate as well. One can channel spirit as long as you make sure with any of these things you practice protection, and I also have several videos on that. It's important to practice protection when channeling any being, just to make sure it's all done in love and light. Number 2 on how to know you're speaking light language is that it's not usually understandable by your conscious mind, so that's the you listening, but your subconscious may well know what it means, and I'll get more onto that in a moment. But the thing is, it's not usually understandable, but it feels really good to do. And many who practice channeling light language say that although the words aren't really understandable, or the clicks or sounds or tones, they feel really good to do, because as well as bringing in meaning that the subconscious can understand, it's also bringing in feeling and emotion of a high vibration to help you feel good and others. In addition, light language can feel really familiar, so even though it's not directly understandable, it can actually feel quite familiar to you and others that are listening. Number 3 on ways to know that you're speaking light language is that it brings out an innate remembering. So your subconscious mind, as I touched upon, may well recognize these sounds and words that are coming through. We've all had many lifetimes, and our soul or higher self remembers all these lifetimes. And the knowing and wisdom is kept in our subconscious. It's there. We just need to remember. And the thing is, these tones and sounds and words that come through, it causes our subconscious mind to be triggered to remember. They're triggers for innate knowing and wisdom and understanding to bubble up to our conscious mind. And then we can use it in our everyday lives. It can come in the form of revelations and a sudden sense of knowing. Several days or maybe quite soon after listening to some kind of light language channeling, we suddenly start remembering a bunch of stuff. So number 3 on how to know you're speaking light language is that it brings out an innate remembering that was held in your subconscious mind. Number 4 on how to know you're speaking light language is that you're actually channeling more than just vocal sounds and words. You are channeling symbols and pictures too. Now, have you ever heard the saying that a picture says 1,000 words? Now, that's the thing. If you're channeling symbols, for example, someone might look at that symbol and it might hold great meaning for them, not consciously, as I said, but it might trigger a remembering in their subconscious. It might cause them to have an awakening. It's quite a big deal, actually. You may also paint in light language or do drawing or create poetry in light language, and this too has the same effect. So other types of art that can be done are hieroglyphs and symbols, as I said, scenes and people. If you look at Egyptian hieroglyphs, you might be able to get a sense that they seem a little bit familiar to you, and that maybe a bit of meaning comes to your mind when you're looking at them, especially in the days to come. Number 5 on ways to know that you're speaking light language is that it feels like you're channeling. It just comes out. Just like being a channel of water. This stuff is just flowing through you. You feel like speaking, singing, making tones and hums and sounds. You may also feel like moving your body as well, which I'll get onto in a minute. You may feel like dancing. But it all just feels so lovely, and it's all just coming through you, and you're not entirely sure where it's coming from. You just feel this urge to do it because you're bringing in meaning that's needed. You bring it into this reality, and your subconscious deciphers what all this is, and then you can go about healing and teaching others in reality on what you've brought into this reality. Number 6 on how to know that you're speaking light language is that it may come with poses, postures, hand signs, dancing and movement. So oftentimes when bringing in light language as well as the vocal aspect to it, there may be movements, and this may happen uncontrollably. There may be a rocking around, a twitching or a moving, a dancing and a swaying, postures and hand signs. The thing is, these just feel right to do. They might come with the words or with the singing, and it's just another way of expressing oneself. And if you're doing it for the benefit of others, they can experience all of these postures, movements, sounds all together. And they may find in the coming days that it brings up some kind of innate knowing and wisdom for them by viewing you or others performing light language. So the bodily movements help to augment the communication and help to get it out. Sometimes you want to sort of wiggle it out, and it's just an aid to effective communication. Number 7 on how to know you're speaking light language is that it makes others feel good to hear it. So those who are watching or listening to you channeling light language or the accompanying movements, it helps them to feel good. Now, it also helps to break down your ego as well, because it can make you feel a bit silly showing off your skills here in bringing in light language. It can be quite a big thing to go ahead and show that to someone. So it shows that your ego is shrinking a bit, which is a good thing to be able to present this to others. And in addition, the light language has the potential to heal others, which I'll get onto next. Number 8 on how to know you're speaking light language is ask yourself, are you feeling healed or are others feeling healed? Now, light language has the potential to heal in 2 different ways. First of all, it brings in healing concepts. So we know that the body is generated by the mind. And if we have subconscious traumas and things that need healing, it can cause physical ailments for us. So light language can bring in healing concepts and healing formulas and realizations for us to help us feel better, and in turn it helps us feel physically better. And way number 2 on how it has the potential to heal is that light language does what it says. It's light language. It brings in light. Now, our reality is based on light. Everything is made up of atoms and empty space. Well, energy, as they've found. Everything in creation is based on fundamentally light, photons. So light language brings in more light, as it said. It brings light into our lives. It raises the vibration, and light heals. Because oftentimes in our bodies we end up with dark pockets of energy where stresses and negativities and anxieties collect. Light language can help to clear that out. So you might ask, why don't we just speak in English or your other first language? Well, oftentimes our words have negative vibrations to them. They can have a negative vibrational sound. Plus, regular language can be quite limiting. But the thing about light language is that anything goes, all sorts is coming through. We don't quite know what's coming through. Always practice protection, as I've said, in love and light and understanding with the greatest good and highest intent in mind. But the conscious mind doesn't often understand what's being said, but we just feel that innate knowing coming through, and it feels good to do. So there's a lot more, especially emotional content, that can be felt when performing light language. So let me and others know what you think about light language, and if any of this has been happening to you. Support this Spiritual Awakening YouTube channel on Patreon and receive weekly bonus videos. You can also choose to receive spiritual guidance via email or spiritual sessions. And remember to click subscribe if you're not already a subscriber to receive regular spiritual inspiration on your journey through life. Like and share also, because we're raising the mass vibration together. So go now in love and peace.